whatever the U.S. reaction is. We are, to be sure, hoping that the Europeans will be able to work something out with Iran, without, I suspect, a great deal of optimism there. We are trying to work towards a somewhat less poisonous relationship with North Korea, and I think Bob must be having flashbacks and looking at the most recent agreement with North Korea. It certainly has a sort of kind of familiar ring to it. But there are two more serious arguments that I think the U.S. needs to think carefully about. And the first is, what kind of a signal does this send to those who had accepted the NPT bargain and might now wish to reconsider? The hard cases are Korea and Japan, who see a major increase in the danger level in their neighborhood. That certainly points up the need to re-examine how one gets nuclear security in today's world. It seems to me, though, that the big stimulus for Korea and Japan to reconsider their bargain is not India but North Korea. That's who's disturbing the neighborhood. The second serious argument is, if we can do a special deal for India, what about others wanting to do special deals for their friends? And the obvious instant case is China and its friend Pakistan. I would argue that Pakistan's behavior, and I am thinking of A.Q. Khan, should be a serious obstacle for other countries going along with such an arrangement. I would also argue that both in the U.S. legislative process and especially in the Nuclear Suppliers Group process, it ought to be possible to negotiate a set of criteria that take account of the A.Q. Khan phenomenon and that deal with this problem of one special deal after another. I think, looking ahead, that the most difficult area in U.S.-India nuclear cooperation, and here I'm talking about political difficulties, not technical ones, is going to be Iran. There is talk of India joining the Proliferation Security Initiative. I very much hope that happens. It would certainly be a very positive development. But India does set store by its relationship with Iran, and I suspect that the whole matter of Iran's nuclear problem is going to come up again and again, and it's going to cause some very difficult choices for India. It may cause some difficult choices for the United States as well, because there may come a time when we feel that when we ought to re-examine parts of our policy towards Iran. Getting into that in detail goes beyond the scope of this meeting, but looking down the road, I think that's where the geopolitical challenges are going to come.
Thank you. Thank you, Tezi. I actually planned not to make any comments until Tezi said that she expected I would be in the no camp, and I just really hate to disappoint her. So
You're right.
I'm going to briefly fulfill the expectation that Tezi has for me and simply state what I guess is the far left or far right. In proliferation, I can never tell how you read the spectrum position here, although I must say I'm going to invite George to tell me how far this is from his position. I very much liked George's opening, which is essentially it's a very good idea for the United States to improve its relationship with India, and I couldn't agree more. I do not think this, and I'm not sure whether to call it a deal, an agreement, or a proposal, is good from the perspective of the prevention of the spread of nuclear weapons. I think it is bad from that perspective. I think it is a good idea to try to figure out what a good deal would be that would allow the United States to engage in nuclear cooperation with India. In other words, I am prepared to step onto the slippery slope of nuclear cooperation and give up something which is not only enshrined in U.S. law, but is also has been a matter of policy for, I don't know, almost 30 years, which is to not only as a matter of policy for us, but to seek to convince others to make full-scope safeguards a condition of nuclear supply. I'm prepared to say, yes, there are circumstances under which I would be prepared to give that up